We've been told so often that God is a God of love, He's a God of mercy, He's a God of grace, who forgives us freely of our sins. And the idea we have then of God is that all God has to do to reconcile us to Himself is just simply to dispense His forgiveness upon us. But when we think like this, we forget that God is holy. We forget that God is just. And at the end of that passage that I just read from Romans 3, he says that as a propitiation by His blood through faith to demonstrate His righteousness, because in His forbearance God had passed over the sins that were previously committed, to demonstrate at the present time His righteousness, that He might be just and justifier. So when God justifies His people, He doesn't just do it by a unilateral act of forgiveness, because to do so without satisfaction, without atonement, without propitiation, would be a complete violation of His own justice. God will not wink at sin. God will not simply pass over it without exacting a punishment for it. And so in the whole elaborate ritual of the Day of Atonement, we see the symbolism of the blood sacrifice that is given to propitiate the wrath of God and to satisfy His justice. Now, we come to the New Testament and we read the book of Hebrews, and the book of Hebrews reminds us that the blood of bulls and goats cannot atone for our sins. All this elaborate business of killing the goat and pouring its blood on the mercy seat isn't going to save anybody from their sins, because there's no inherent intrinsic value in the blood of a goat to effect propitiation. And so how were the people's sins forgiven in the Old Testament? Not on the basis of the blood of the goat, but on the basis of the blood of Christ, who was yet to come. All of these observations and rituals in the tabernacle and later in the temple were pointing beyond themselves to the future reality that would come, that in fact would satisfy the demands of God's righteousness and His justice.